Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good night, good day to you, depending where you are in the world. I am here live in London. It is 10:15 or just after PM on a Thursday evening. We're doing our nighttime devotion. The devotional is called To Be Like Jesus. The title today, The Poor Have Rights in God's World. Psalms 24 verse 1, the earth is the Lord's and all its fullness, the world and those who dwell therein. On the 10th day of the 7th month, in the day of atonement, the trumpet of the jubilee was sounded. Throughout the land, wherever the Jewish people dwelt, the sound was heard, calling upon the children of Jacob to welcome the year of release. On the great day of atonement, sanctification was made for the sins of Israel, and with gladness of heart the people would welcome the jubilee. As in the sabbatical year, the land was not to be sown or reaped, and all that it produced has to be regarded as the rightful property of the poor. Certain classes of Hebrew slaves, all who did not receive their liberty in the sabbatical year, were now set free. But that which especially distinguished the year of Jubilee was the reversion of all landed property to the family of the original possessor. By the special direction of God the Father, the land had been divided by lot. After the division was made, no one was at liberty to trade his estate. Neither was he to sell his land unless poverty compelled him to do so, and then, whenever he or any of his kindred might desire to redeem it, the purchaser must not refuse to sell it, and if unredeemed, it would revert to its first possessor or his heirs in the year of Jubilee. The people were to be impressed with the fact that it was God's land which they were permitted to possess for that time, that he was the rightful owner, the original proprietor, and that he would have special consideration made for the poor and the unfortunate. It was to be a place, so it was to be impressed upon the minds of all that the poor have as much right to a place in God's world as have the more wealthy. Such were the provisions made by our merciful Creator to lessen suffering, to bring ray of hope, to flash some gleam of sunshine into the lives of the destitute and the distressed. Once again, as we read in the previous devotion, we're talking about the Sabbath and how the fields need to rest every sabbatical year, which would be the 7th year, and then reverting to the year of Jubilee every 50 years. No matter you have your land, no matter what you do with your land, who you sell it to, how you divide it up, after 50 years, your family repossess that land. And that is really how society should be. Then there is really no filthy rich and no filthy poor. It's really a case of everyone gets back what they had, and then you kind of start again. I think it's the fairest way to do things. It is the right way to do things. Obviously, there's some people that are very poor in managing what they have. But the fact remains that after 50 years, everything reverts back to how it was, land-wise. Obviously, in our day and age, if you have a thriving business, it would probably still be thriving, even though you're back to the same estate you started with. But that you can still build from. I like that idea. Now, obviously, if you're a millionaire or whatever, trillionaire or billion, whatever you call it, you probably might not like that idea, because then you'd lose a lot of the estate you have. But it's not your land anyway, as is said here. At the end of the day, God the Father owns everything. We're just stewards of what he allows us to use and have. The poor have rights in God's word. If you think about it, the poor have rights because after the 50 years, they get back everything, the lands and everything, and they have another opportunity to start and to do things right. If they're in debt, they can then use the land to pay off debts. And then after the 50 years, they get the land back. So everything works out right anyway. I hope you've been blessed by this. Have a good night. God bless you.